Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Gray's Books. Fall reading is here. It is September. I am so excited. I didn't do a ton of reading in the summertime, if I'm being honest with you, but I'm just so motivated for all of the fall reads. This is when I thrive. This is what I live for. And I couldn't be more excited because I'm co-hosting the Romance Readathon put together by Maggie from Maggie's Books and Stuff, who I adore. The amount of work she's put into this readathon, I will leave my announcement video down below and hers as well, but it's Phantom of the Opera themed and it's so fun. And honestly, you can read anything. You get points per page, which is awesome, but obviously there are ways to get bonus points. One of those ways is to read Gothic books. So I have a lot of those on my TBR because I'm a Gothic fan. And my particular team, opera owners, my tropes are billionaire romances and age gap, so not my go-to tropes, to be honest with you, which is kind of fun, pushes me out of my comfort zone. I think I have one or two on my list. I decided to focus on some romanticises that have fae, and I feel like that's a good bet that there'll be an age gap there. And Maggie was clear to point out that for billionaire romances, they don't necessarily have to be billionaires. There just has to be a wealth discrepancy between the characters. So that is good. I think this is one of those things where some of these books might just have the tropes and I don't even realize till I'm reading them. But you also can get bonus points, just less if you read some of the other tropes that other teams have. So enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, those kind of things. Check it all out. It's so much fun. And I just cannot wait to really fall back in love with reading in the fall, which I've already started to do because I'm in the middle of 2 books right now and I cannot wait to stop filming this video and edit it and get it up and then get back to reading them. And I haven't felt that in a minute. And I've just found like a reading groove that works for me. We'll talk about all that more probably in a future video. I'm wanting to vlog so desperately, so we'll see. The first book I'm in the middle of is an e-arc, but the book does come out in September and it's Evil Me by Bram, who wrote Slewfoot, one of my favorite Gothic horror books of all time. I think that's fantastic. I am actually really loving this book right now. I'm about 30% in. I found the perfect way to read. I haven't been listening to audiobooks as much, though I did start one this morning that I'm loving and we'll talk about soon. But I have been embracing my Kindle, and what I do is I read my Kindle with my headphones on and I listen to music. And I never thought that would work for me. I thought it would be too distracting, but I actually find the silence more distracting, and I can really zone out of the music if it's stuff I'm familiar with. Let's be honest, I'm wearing his shirt right now. It's a lot of Niall Horan at the moment, but I listen to his stuff and I read, and because I've heard all of his songs 1,000 times, I don't get as distracted by the lyrics and stuff, and I can read pretty easily, and it's really working for me at the moment. So that book is a horror. It's set in the 80s. Some of the language is very 80s in there that I've noticed, but I'm loving the vibes. It's way darker than I imagined. I thought it would be a little bit more campy because the themes of it are about selling your soul to the devil and having this rock band, but it's dark, man. It's so dark, and I'm so invested in it. So really, really enjoying that, not gonna lie. Then I started the audiobook for Immortal Dark by Tagus Gurma this morning. Really into it as well. It's 17 hours long, which I wasn't expecting or prepared for. I have the ALC from Libro FM and I wanted to listen to it in August, but it was too perfect for this readathon, so I saved it, and it does come out tomorrow. So I got a little bit of an early start. It's also the September book for Tori's book club. Tori from Tori Between Pages, her book club on Fable. It's the Who Did This To You book club, and I always need to participate in her book club because I love her and I love the books that she chooses, and I like that platform to talk about them because you can really talk about them on your own pace. But I just always forget about it and I have so many other commitments and things, but this was already on my radar. Watched her videos, saw that that was the book. So excited to chat about it over there. This is Vampires, Dark Academia, Enemies to Lovers. Loving the atmosphere already. I think that the world in this is going to be really interesting. It's about how humans gain power by forming bonds to vampires, and her sister is kidnapped and she thinks that the vampire that is bound to her family is responsible for this, and she has now immersed herself in this arcane society within this school where humans are trained to coexist with vampires, and it's interesting. I'm really digging it so far. So 2 wins so far already. And then speaking of Libro FM, I woke up and it's September 1st, and every September, if you are an influencer, you can sign up for this program that they have, and they send you ALCs on the 1st of the month, and I look forward to it every month. There's always some gems on there. That's how I got Immortal Dark. But I saw this book on there and I'd never heard of it before, except a friend had put it on her TBR for the Romance Readathon, and I was instantly intrigued by the cover, so when I saw it was an option, grabbed it, downloaded it, and it's a suburban horror, which is kind of giving me like Stepford Wives vibes, which is always a movie that has stayed with me since I watched it as like a teenager. And it's called We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Torrado. And obviously we have these women with a pie coming to greet the neighbors, but if you look into the pie a little bit more, it doesn't look like your normal apple pie. But I know that this is about two women who are married and move into this gated community. They think it's gonna be like an idyllic situation, and there's something sinister going on with the house itself and with their neighbors. Apparently it's a really horrific HOA, and if you know anything about HOAs, I think they can be full of drama and horrifying on their own, but you make it like maybe a bit more supernatural something, and that takes it to another level. And I just love that whole idea, because we all have opinions about HOAs to begin with. Those are homeowner associations, if you're not aware. So yeah, I'm really intrigued by that one. I have that one on audiobook. And then the one physical book that I have with me that was an impulse buy because everybody was talking about it, and I was thinking about this TBR, and I figured if you don't read it now, you're never gonna read it. It's too perfect for this readathon. Is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. When this first came out, everybody's raving about it. Now I see some mixed opinions, but I'm still curious. This will be my first Ali Hazelwood. Is this a good one to start with? I'm not sure. I haven't heard anybody say that it's a good place to start, but maybe it's a good place for me. It's the one that has intrigued me the most, and from the reviews, I know some people were shocked by the werewolf stuff in here, but I have read the Make Games, and it's funny because I read the Make Games last year with Maggie, who is the host of this readathon, and that series was a blast. I actually recommend adding that to your readathon this month if you're participating, because it'll get you a ton of points. And the thing about that series is it opened my eyes to a lot of things about werewolves and werewolf smut. So I learned a lot, so I won't be shocked by anything that happens in here, I don't think. And it's just full circle moment to be doing this readathon with Maggie and reading a werewolf book. But yeah, it's a vampire bride and an alpha werewolf form a dangerous alliance in this enthralling new paranormal romance. For as much as I hear about this book, I don't know the actual plot, and maybe that's a good thing. Just go into it blind and we'll see how I feel. And if this actually makes me want to read more of Ali Hazelwood, because for some reason I just haven't been intrigued by her more contemporary things, and I'm curious to see if she'll stick to this more paranormal stuff in the future. We'll see. Gotta read my first Ali Hazelwood. Might as well make it this one. I feel like there's always a fantasy romance at the moment. I always get FOMO. I always get DMs about them. Maria might read that. She's good about pushing these on me because Maria and I share a very similar reading taste when it comes to fantasy romance. We don't always align in terms of what we like, but in fantasy romance, I feel like we have a good understanding of what one another likes, and we very much overlap. And she messaged me and told me I had to read this, but I just watched Kristen from Kristen is Philly Books video, and Maria messaged her too. So she obviously has an agenda, and I'm falling for it. Have this downloaded on KU. It's Quicksilver by, who's the author of this one? I just hear about it all the time, Callie Hart. So I have this downloaded on KU, ready to go with my headphones on. I'll fully be into it. I think it's a bit longer than is probably ideal for a readathon. A lot of these books are, but because it's a fantasy romance, I'm sure I will fly through it. Honestly, know very little about this one, just that Maria told me I'm gonna like it and I trust her. Catherine Addison is an author who I've been meaning to read from for ages and has been recommended to me a lot. And I think that is a pen name, and her real name is Sarah Monette. And she has a novella called A Theory of Haunting that I've been curious about since it came out, I think, last year. And I figured with all these chunky books, I probably need a couple novellas, have access to this one on my Kindle. So it's got that cover of a book that I'm gonna like that screams Kristen to me. And I just think it's got the Gothic vibes that tend to work for me, and I've heard great things about her writing in particular. And from what I read, this is just another haunted house book, but I never get tired of those. And I think that there were murders that happened in this house, and now it's kind of being looked at or by like an archivist or an archaeologist or something. We'll see. I don't hear many people talk about this one, so that makes me a little bit nervous, but I wonder if it just fell under the radar because everybody focuses on the Goblin Empire, and maybe they don't even realize that this is by the same author. So hopefully it works for me. It's like 146 pages or something, so one I could probably read in an afternoon. And I just need all the haunted house stories for this month. Haunted house stories and vampires and witches. That's like my bread and butter. A friend pushed this series on me. I've never heard of it before, but it works for the readathon. There are a series of these. They're novellas, they're on KU, and I think there's 7 of them maybe, but only 2 are out right now. So maybe if I like this first one, I will read the second one, and they are each retellings. So obviously that is something that works for me. This is Golden Shadow by Madeline Elliott, and this is a Goldilocks retelling that is smutty. So, you know, that's different. So I think we have a bear shifter in this one, which I've never read before, but I know exists, and there are quite a few of those on KU as well. And the second one is a Snow White retelling, which I feel like is more commonplace. You come across those more often, but I would love to have a new novella series that I can rely on. And this author has some other series that we were looking at the covers of, and there is a really special edition of one of her books that is absolutely beautiful with overlays and everything. So my plan is to hopefully get to that series as well to see if I want to purchase that book, because it is so beautiful. But yeah, that is not the point of this. I'm going to read that other series first. My friend, I think, has already read both and really liked them, so curious. And again, another novella. When I saw what my trope was for my team, I knew that I had to read The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan, you probably know this already. She is probably my favorite romance author. It's like her and Abby Jimenez, but I feel like Kennedy Ryan is actually more consistent for me. And I love the way that she writes characters, she writes chemistry, the way she writes difficult themes, and everything feels so damn honest. I think she is just one of the most honest romance authors that we have. And this is a different one from what I typically would pick up, but that can be said of a lot of Kennedy Ryan's books, because I don't read a lot of sports romances, but I love what she does. So she pushes me out of my comfort zone as well, which is always a win. This says, raised to rule, bred to lead, and weaned on a diet of ruthless ambition, in a world of haves and have-nots, my family has it all, and I want nothing to do with it. My path takes me far from home and paints me as a black sheep. At odds with my father, I'm determined to build my own empire. I have rules, but Lennox Hunter is the exception to every one of them. From the moment we meet, something sparks between us, but my family stole from hers, and my father is the man she hates most. I lied to her and would do anything to keep her. Though she tries to hate me too, the inexorable pull between us will not be denied, and neither will I. The other thing about Kennedy Ryan is that, except for canon in real, she doesn't tend to write heroes that are my typical favorites. Like, you know, I love a cinnamon roll, which is not a popular opinion. She leans more into like possessive men, which is not my favorite thing, but again, she just does it well and it works for me. So she's one of those authors who is always the exception for me, and I'm excited to start a new series from her, even though there's one series, that Hoop series, that I'm in the middle of that I need to finish, but I will. This one's just too perfect and I can't wait. And then finally, let's talk about the September pick for the Black Hat Book Coven, which is the witchy book club I'm a part of. It's created by Becky from Bex Reads, and we have so much fun. A lot of our discussions kind of just become chaotic by the last bit of it, but that's part of what makes them interesting, right? We have some great chats over there, so you have to join us. But September is my month. We'll be sprinting on Laura's channel sometime mid-month. I'll put the date here if I can remember. And the live show will be on my channel September 30th. That is the Monday, I believe. And we will be talking about The Cottage Around the Corner by D.L. Soria. This comes out today when you're seeing this, and get your library holds in. This looks so cute. It's such a me pick. It is a cozy witchy fantasy. It's giving Gilmore Girls meets You Got Mail, and it's small town. These two characters each own businesses. She owns like a small spell shop, and he is a powerful mage, and he's got like a magical emporium or something, and they hate each other, but they have to work together to save the small town from supernatural forces. Could be really, really, really sweet, and I love the cover, and I can't wait to talk about it with you all, so join us for that. So those are all the books on my TBR. I'm hoping to get through this. I know just the nature of readathons, especially with this group, and how they all love KU and the easy access we have to Kindle Unlimited. I will be going off the rails, reading some really strange, weird things, because that's what this group reads, and that is why I love them so much. So I know I'll be getting some recommendations as it goes on. There's a lot of great recommendations in the Discord already, and I think people just stumble upon things that work really well for it as the month goes on. So I know I'm going to be influenced. We'll see how that all plays out. So let me know if you've read any of these, if you're joining us for the readathon, what team you're on, what is your favorite romance trope? I would love to know. Do you have any billionaire romance recommendations that you think I would like? I've looked at a few. I just don't know what's great. So let me know, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.